Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Unfiltered, the podcast that takes the mystery out of commercial real estate and makes it accessible for everyone. I'm Caleb David, a broker, investor, and community builder with over a decade of experience helping businesses and individuals bring their visions to life. Here we break down the market, share expert insights, and talk about the opportunities that commercial real estate creates for businesses and communities alike. No fluff, no gatekeeping, just real, unfiltered conversations that empower you to navigate the space with confidence. So whether you're an investor, a business owner, or simply curious about commercial real estate, welcome. Let's dive in. All right, welcome everybody. This is Caleb with Commercial Real Estate Unfiltered podcast, and we are going on to our next episode, and we're really excited to have a roofer on today. And this is going to be some great information, great insight. And so I want to introduce our guest today. Luke Jacks is a seasoned professional in the roofing industry and a key figure at White Castle Roofing. With extensive experience in both residential and commercial roofing, Luke has built a reputation for high-quality solutions and exceptional customer service. Specializing in large-scale roofing installations and repairs, he brings attention to detail, craftsmanship, and the ability to manage complex projects from start to finish. Through his work at White Castle Roofing, Luke has made a significant impact in the roofing industry, providing tailored services to meet the unique needs of every client. Luke, welcome to the podcast. We're really looking forward to a great conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely, David. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So, Luke, kind of tell us a little bit about how you ended up where you are today. What got you into the roofing industry?
Well, the crazy thing is I'm an aerospace machinist by trade, right? Like I
Okay.
was machining parts for missiles, satellites, jets, you name it. And then I just kind of topped out in the industry. I just wanted more. Like I just needed more out of life, and I had an opportunity to get into roofing, and it was residential roofing. My first is where I first started, and 10 years ago I started with a company I won't name, but at the same time we started, I was their first employee, and I sold 54 homes, residential re-roofs in the 8 months of my first year there. And then the next year they decided to hire me on as just the A through Z type of guy,
Yeah.
that learn how to estimate, learn how to do takeoffs, learn how to order the materials. And then they started teaching me about the commercial industry. So the commercial roofing, residential roofing it's night and day difference. There's nothing similar at all. You
Yeah.
have 7 to 10 moving parts on a residential roof, and then you absolutely have over hundreds of moving parts on a commercial flat roof, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked myself into the position of being head of operations with White Castle Roofing, but I come from the field. So like I was doing installs my first, I would say 7 to 8 years in the industry. I was laboring, I was picking up materials, I was installing, I was doing tear offs, anything that you can think of that needed to you have your hand on it, I was doing it.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned what it is how to estimate a job or what the labor goes into when you're working these type of roofs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very interesting that you say that because I say the same thing about residential real estate as well as commercial real estate. They're two completely different paths. And what a lot of people don't know is that it's the same licensing that you need for residential and commercial, though it's a very different experience. So you've been at White Castle now for a little bit of time. What's one of the things that sets White Castle apart from other companies?
So I mean, White Castle Roofing they're really about the quality of work, right? About keeping that brand reputable. And that's a lot of companies I work with. I've consulted across the United States. I've worked with large companies down in Denver, and they are a family-owned business. They're not corporate. They are actually our parent company is like a $65 million company, and so we have the finances to back what we're doing in Loveland. What sets White Castle is different is we take the time. We want to educate anybody and everybody who's asking us a question about their roof, or if we get on a roof. We're not about trying to sell the roof, or we want to provide you a service and educate you with the systems and processes and what we find on your in intel and in any inspection, right? So let's just say you call me, Luke, I got this commercial building. Can you come take a look at it? Well, my thing is this. I want to look at your roof before I try to sell you a roof. I
Yeah.
don't want to sell you a roof. I just want to look at it and give you, I want to grade it. I want to give you a report. I don't want to talk about what we can do to make your roof work for you in the long-term process.
Hmm. Absolutely. And, one of the things that I've run into a lot, and you can probably speak to this in your experiences, Colorado, we get a lot of hail here,
Yes.
and, I can't tell you how many roofers are storm chasers. And can you maybe share a little bit more why it's important to work with somebody local that understands the market and you're not getting somebody from Texas or, some other state that's just kind of trying to rush in and kind of just kind of scavenge a little bit, and try to just make a quick buck.
No, absolutely. So working with a reputable local company means longevity. If you have a problem with your roof, you're able to get a hold of that company and be like, hey guys, you guys have been in business for 40 years. You've been in town for, 20, 30 years. Can you come back and look at my roof? Something is wrong. I don't think it's right after the installation. We're my team obviously hails the caveat, right? It's the cherry on top, right?
Yeah,
Storm chasing is the we aren't storm chasers. We're relationship builders. Like our sales team, they're very efficient with what they do, and they work with insurance brokers, they work with lenders, they work with commercial real estate brokers. They build a book of business that is referred, and we get referred and repeat business. You can't just solely build your business on storm chasing, right?
right.
You have to continue to be able to do work even if there is no storm.
Yeah,
If you get a fly by night company, and I hate to say it because it happens all the time, you get a fly by night company, they deliver your materials, but they don't do your roof, right?
right,
They take your check. I mean, they'll just, run off with it. Then the next, they do that for, I went a dozen or so times, and then, they make good money, and now they're out of the state,
right.
because they're not from here, and they don't have a reputable brand to keep their name clean.
Yeah. So what are some things that a building owner, or an asset manager can look at, when they're looking for a roofer? What are some of the red flags that you find with some of the storm chasers? What are some of the things that people can look out for, to kind of know that, maybe they're talking to somebody that, is just trying to come in and swoop in and just kind of get a quick buck?
Well, the thing about that is the rule of three, right? You always have three people, three referrals. Usually a lot of insurance brokers or, respectable clients, that we do business with, they don't necessarily say, hey, I'm gonna put you at the top, but they number you A, B, and C, or letter you one, two, number you one, two, three. Us being, a lot of times at the top of that list, and a lot of your agents will tell you, hey, this is who I recommend. I can't tell you who to use, but this is the order I would, give a call.
Hmm.
Um, for business owners, like commercial roofing is interesting, right? The properties are none of one of the same. Like
Yeah.
everything is different throughout the industry, from twin T structures to pole barns to metal structures, you name it, from not structurally sloped to structurally sloped type of roof conditions.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is always do your due diligence, right? Like I'm a homeowner myself, and only people that roof besides me, if I was going to do it, when I have the time, I use some of my colleagues that I've worked with for years,
Yeah.
right? You can go to the website, see if they won awards, call the material manufacturer, right? See what kind of quality work they do. Have they had any problems with any work that they've warranted underneath a specific manufacturer?
Hmm.
So you can't it's nothing's ever going to be cheap, right? And we can't just be blindsided the fact that maybe we're going to get something done for pennies on the dollar.
Right.
And that's not what we can, that's commercial roofing is not that. Maybe residential roofing, right? There's a little big cost difference, but at the same time we have to do our due diligence, as a building owner, as a broker, a real estate agent, and for us, I would say, I mean, we've won multiple awards through Carlisle. Carlisle is a single ply membrane. It's well known in northern Colorado, and we are Carlisle certified. So that is a big thing in this area up north.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think something else that people can also look at too is check out the Google reviews. Check with your local
Man,
Better Business Bureau and understand, what it is and who it is you're dealing with. And it doesn't have to be something that takes a whole lot of time, right? You can
no.
go to those websites and the resources that are available there to find out who you're dealing with and what you can expect. And so, it sounds like you guys have a lot of high level customer service. Maybe talk to me a little bit about how you incorporate that customer service with that blue collar work ethic, to be able to serve your clients.
You know, roofing is definitely blue collar, right? It is not. Let me tell you, if you've ever done any hard work, it's probably one of the hardest trades you can do.
Mhm.
Whether it's selling or just doing roof inspections, during the summer it's 100 degrees. Well, that roof surface is making it 120 degrees up there.
Right, right.
Um, my thing is this, and I want to touch on you on that on the Google review. We pride ourselves in obtaining five-star reviews with every residential roof to every commercial roof we do. And the customer service is we want to bring that, like I said, it's the blue collar work with the white glove service, right? The white glove service is essentially we are going to educate and we're going to not hold your hand, but be by your side through the whole process. We're going to answer questions that you have essentially with what we're seeing or what we're finding on your roof.
Yeah,
What are the options? What, does it have to be a re-roof? There's multiple things. And that's why the white glove service, it's our brand where we want to make sure it stays reputable. We want to answer your phone calls, right? We want to answer your emails. We want to answer your texts. We want to send you picture photo updates. We want to do all those things to ensure that you are having this comfortable, warm, fuzzy feeling all the way through the process.
sure. Yeah, and I think that, very often, especially with larger projects, you're dealing with high dollars, you're dealing with a big investment, you're maybe working with an insurance company or a claim, and there's a lot of moving parts there. But I know that there's lots of different roofing solutions out there, but one of the ones I want to touch on is kind of silicone roofing. How does that work, and how can that be more of a cost-effective solution compared to a complete re-roof?
Well, so basically with silicone roofing, sorry, that light in the back's bugging me. That window's crazy. The silicone roofing, all right, it is, let's just say you have a roof. Let's just say a 10,000 square foot building. It's a single ply membrane. And for a re-roof, a lot of times your deductible is going to cost more than what the roof is going to cost,
Mm,
right? If say you wanted to make an insurance, you're like, Luke, I didn't want to do an insurance claim. What can we do? Well, first I would be like, well, what's your deductible? You're like, well, it's 1 million.
yeah,
Well, your roof's only going to cost you this much out of pocket, but we have so silicone coating is a more cost effective way to give your roof another 10 or 15 years.
mm,
And it's considered a tax write-off and a maintenance to your building.
right. And I know a lot of times building owners, lots of times with that, if you've got if you've got $1 million deductible, then ends up very often being passed through to a tenant. So that's something I think that people need to be aware of that, even if you're just a tenant in a building, the roofing that you have is important because it does affect your bottom line in most cases. So what are some of those tax benefits that are associated with silicone coatings, and how do they compare to other options?
Well, so let's just say a re-roof will cost, most re-roofs are going to cost you, depending on how many square footage of the building. And I'll just do a rough calculation real quick. Let's just say you have a 10,000 square building. That's 100 squares worth of roof, right? So a re-roof at 100 squares, it's going to be on the upwards of probably 1,200 a square.
Okay.
That's $120,000, right? That's not, I mean, that's just on the low end. If depending on the material, the NDA, the warranties you're looking for on this thing, the silicone coating comes in at a fraction of that cost,
Hmm.
right? I would say for a 100 square roof with a silicone coating, even on my high end, um, at the high end, it's $78,000, and I'm going to give you a warrantable roof with another 10-year warranty from the manufacturer of the coating,
Yeah.
right? So it's night and day difference.
Yeah.
The tax write-off, I mean, a re-roof. is not tax right. You can write off a re-roof. Anytime you put a new roof on your house or your business, it's not a write-off. It's
Mm,
either a warrantable insurance claim or straight out of pocket, and you don't get no cash back on it.
right,
Now let's just say you did a $78,000 silicone, you get to write off $78,000 to that property address.
right. Yeah, and so talk a little bit about warranties. I know there's a lot that goes into that, and what should building owners be aware of when it comes to warranties? What should they be looking for when they're talking to a roofer?
Well, so first of all, it just like again, after you've done your due diligence, let's say you singled it out and you come to a decision, White Castle Roofing, we want to go with them. Well, with our commercial roofing, we hand you a larger craftsmanship slash workmanship warranty that's going to cover anything that comes up during that process, right? Let's just say we install the roof and you get a leak, we come out, we take a look at it. If it's for example, we come and it's a defect or flaw from us doing the installation, which obviously there's a lot of times it happens.
Yeah.
Roofing is not a perfect world. I wish it was,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we come out and we investigate, we fix it, right? But then we'll come out and investigate, like, well, hey, your HVAC guy just poked 15 holes
Yeah.
in your single ply roof.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just kind of
Yeah, and typically when that happens, correct me if I'm wrong, but if somebody goes through the roof without contacting the roofing company, does that
it.
invalidate the warranty?
So let's say you have it depends, right? If we're say let's talk about we have a Carlisle roof, we're Carlisle certified, we can do the maintenance work on it, right? If it's a large enough roof, we are comfortable enough with just taking over your warranty.
Hmm.
Like, hey, we found this, we found that. We're going to give you a full report, but yeah, it does null and void your NDL that you've captured on this roof from the previous installer. But if we're certified in that manufacturer, it doesn't null and void,
Hmm.
right? We're certified in Firestone, we're certified in GAF, we're certified in Carlisle, Mulehide, all the major brands, Versico. So for us, working with us, it's a little different experience because you get that white glove service, right?
Yeah.
We have every certification, we have many awards that we've won. Um, but as far as basically that with the warranty, are we gonna give you an extended warranty? We're not gonna give you Colorado, I think, is a 2-year craftsmanship, workmanship warranty law. I think that's all it is, right? And then your general liability, all that stays on the hook for 2 years for everything that you've re-roofed, roofed, or touched.
Yeah.
But again, we want to extend that warranty because we want to make sure that you guys are comfortable with the service that we're bringing to you.
Yeah. And I think it's very important for a building owner, to whether you're a small business or you've got a huge manufacturing facility, it's important to have that relationship, not, I mean, with all of your vendors, right? And I think especially with a roofer, because there are other repercussions, have that conversation before you have an HVAC company come up there and put something through the roof, or if there's a venting issue or anything like that, have a conversation with your roofer. And again, it's the importance of having that relationship. So, kind of my next question is, how does White Castle, kind of tailor kind of your solutions for your clients?
I like to think of it, we're solutions experts, right? Let's say you brought me this roof. You're like, Luke, I need this roof done. My insurance is going to renew me. I need to figure it out.
Mhm.
Well, I'm going to look at every way possible to value engineer this estimate and getting you a new roof, whether it's a silicone coating,
Mhm.
whether it's, doing a membrane swap, see if we can get that approved. Just taking off the membrane, putting a new membrane on, or just redetailing your roof to where it brings it up to where it's functioning for you. And now that your roof is, it can be insured again,
Oh,
right? Um, that's essentially, we are looking to solve your problem without breaking your bank,
yeah,
right? Again, everybody's selling something, right? We just want to bring you a service. We really just want you to understand what your roof life expectancy is and what it needs to continue to work for you. So we're helping you protect your assets in these buildings, in these properties, right? The roof is what, probably 40-50% of what the building is.
Hmm.
It covers the whole envelope. Say you have
Right.
10 or 15 tenants, right? You get a leaky roof, every unit's leaking, then we have a lot of issues.
Hmm.
But we want to protect your assets. That's our main goal, and that's what differentiates us from other companies, right? Again, we don't want to sell you something. We just want to help you protect what you've spent money in as an investment and or as far as what you're looking for to invest in.
Absolutely. And with you all being a local company here in Colorado, obviously we have at times some extreme weather. You know, talk to me a little bit about how climate is a factor in Colorado.
Well, it's interesting, right? I'll give you an example. I live in Firestone. I have a house in Firestone. It's in a high hail zone.
Hmm.
And my insurance broker just told me that I'm not grandfathered in at a 0.5% deductible anymore, that it's going to be 1.5% of my home value. So
Wow.
now my deductible went from 2,500 to 11,000.
Wow.
So that's the caveat, right? It's kind of a
Yes.
kicker. With Colorado, when let's just say if you're working on a roof, you want to make if on a commercial building, I recommend always having a 60 mil membrane.
Hmm.
That's going to and having a covered board, having it attached to a covered board over your insulation. That's going to give you a hail rating where hail will just essentially just bounce off of that, right? It's just depending on the system, what you have on your building. Like residential roofing, the Northern Colorado, you have to have a class 4 hail resistant shingle now.
Yeah.
And we a lot of times that's what we're looking for. We give a lot of class 4 upgrades to homeowners because it's expensive to take care of these properties, whether
Yeah.
it's a small retail mom and pop liquor store or a huge, Home Depot. It's very expensive, right? Not everybody has the bank as Home Depot, but we want to make sure we're there for you and letting you know what can be done, so we can protect it from the climate.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that insight because, I don't think that's something I would normally just think of is that, I'm not an expert in roofing, and that's why we have people that we go
Right.
to give us that advice and that education, which I think is extremely important in every area of commercial real estate is having the right team around you. So, why is it important to kind of customize roofing solutions for commercial properties?
I mean, the thing is, every roof is different, right? I mean, you got to customize it because each property is different,
Mm.
right? So automatically, it's not none of the same.
Yeah.
I can get on a building for you one day, and it's a structurally sloped, it's a 100-year-old building with twin T concrete deck, and then you're like, hey, I need you to go check a look at this other building. Well, it's I don't know, 30 years old and has steel structure, a steel deck,
Hmm.
right? We are always core sampling these roofs, right? We take a core out of this roof to see what the insulation buildup is. We want to inspect to see what the deck is, whether from doing an inspection from the inside out or from the top down.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever the same. So everything we do is customized per building owner or per property address. It's
Yeah.
none of the same.
Yeah.
And we have to be a diverse, and the thing what happens is that people think that you get in a bind when you start thinking it's all the same. It's all going to be the same. It is not. I mean, each project's different. Each project problems are different. Each roofing, direction or solution that we hand out is different,
Hmm.
but it's customized to you, tailored to your financial needs, to whether we want to teach you, educate you on doing silicones so you can get a tax write-off, or if you're actually looking for a complete re-roof, we want to make sure that you're getting the best system and the best warranty that could be handed with it.
Yeah. I love that. So maybe talk to me a little bit more about how your expertise really does help. And I think you've touched on this a little bit already. How does it help commercial investors, property management groups, and building owners?
Well, a lot of times, let's just say if you have a real estate brokerage, right, commercial firm, we would love to do a lunch and learn, right? We would love to come in and buy you guys lunch and set you guys up with an educated, get a class to educate you on what the needs are for a property owner's roof, or what conditions, to look for, or how would we, we want to educate you on a silicone coating versus a re-roof, right? A silicone coating is only applicable on a system that isn't completely damaged, right? We have to do adhesion tests. We have to do pull tests. We have to, make sure that the details we do are going to perform when we put this application on. A re-roof, essentially we want to educate, re-roof is like a complete blowout. Hey, your roof is just not, it's
Yeah.
not repairable. We can't maintenance this roof. We need to tear it off, or we need to do a overlay slash call the recovery, right? So we want to always, it's knowledge. We want to hand out the knowledge. We want to make sure that you guys are in lieu and educated on the processes and the procedures that we do while we're, taking a look at your property.
Mhm. Yeah, so one of the questions that I have that's kind of a little off script is if somebody's looking to purchase a building, obviously they're going to get it inspected. Their lender's going to ask them to have the building inspected and get a report. What's the difference? I typically have my clients get a roofer involved, not just an inspector. So what would you say is the benefit to having someone come out that has the expertise that you have in the purchase process versus just having an inspector look at it?
Well, when it comes, like I said, the roof is the main caveat. Most inspections fail because of the roof.
Hmm.
And with that being said, like to have us on your team or on your side when we're doing these inspections, right? It's going to benefit you. It's going to benefit your clients. It's going to benefit anybody and everybody who's involved in this transaction. What a lot of times we can do is we do a roof grade, we do a report, we definitely hand in our recommendations. But and we're actually helpful as well as when it comes down to the wheeling and dealing. Like, well, hey, this is what it's going to cost. 100,000 is what it's going to cost to get your roof working for you again. If you're the seller, I would just put an allowance, 50,000 towards it, and they can pay the rest. If
Right.
you're the buyer, I would be like, oh, nope, I want you to do the repairs,
Hmm.
and then, or the deal's no good.
Sure.
So we're able to assist you on every aspect of those transactions.
Yeah. So as we start to kind of like wind down a little bit, what is some advice that you could give for commercial investors when they're trying to select a roofing contractor?
I mean, a lot of times, most commercial investors and property owners that I've dealt with in Denver, who pretty much own a lot of Inglewood and stuff like that, they have roofers in their back pocket, right?
Yeah.
And they just do. It's just,
Yeah.
come on, you own a multi-million-dollar commercial property. This is not your first one, right? You got hundreds of them. The thing about that is, it's depending. You have to look at this. You want quantity or you want quality.
Yeah.
That's where it's different. If you want to, look for a new service, a new roofer with a reputable brand who's offering you a better service, I would say, yeah, give it a shot and do your due diligence.
Hmm.
If you want to continue to use the fly by night, roofers that every property owner has 5 or 6 in their back pocket.
Right.
And let me tell you, clients of mine that they still call me from Denver. Hey, I know that, the landlord's not going to fix this, but can you come out and fix it? We'd rather pay for you to do it because of the quality of work and it never leaks after you touch our roof. So that's kind of where it's at, right? It's just
Yeah.
knowing our experience surpasses. We have 40 plus years in this industry, let alone in just in the office combined. If we combined everybody, we're probably looking at 25, 30, 40 years just, with a group, everybody added together.
Yeah. So one other question that I have is, kind of it's a little bit relevant to the times that we're in right now. How do you see, the potential tariffs affecting the roofing industry?
Well, a lot of our manufacturers, like they actually make material here.
Okay.
So
That's
we're
awesome.
producing material, yeah, in the United States. As far as the tariffs, I mean, honestly, every quarter we could get a price increase.
Mhm.
There's no way to avoid anything costing more money, right?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, let's just be honest. Buying a bottle of water used to be like 50 cents. Now it's like $3 just
Right.
for a little 16-ounce bottle.
Yeah.
And that comes from Arrowhead Springs, right? Local.
Right.
It's just nothing you can do is going to avoid that.
Yeah.
But what you can do is really think and work with a roofing company that's, like I said, like ourselves, right? I got to promote my company. It's a great company to be with, and we do a lot of good work. We do a lot of custom homes, and we're getting into the large commercial.
Yeah.
With that being said, you just want to make sure that the company that you're working with understands what your needs are for your specific building, what your wants are. We want to, like I said, communicate with us. Hey, I don't really want to do this whole re-roof, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of, I mean, most seasoned commercial investors or brokers or whatnot will tell you, hey, we're not re-roofing this, but what can we do to repair it, right?
Right.
What can we do to repair this? So it's just always making sure that we're asking those questions and then just realizing just price check. Call one of
Hmm.
your local distributors and be like, hey, what's this material cost nowadays, right? And then you can just keeping everybody honest across the board.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think being informed and educated, and that's the purpose of this podcast, is to get the
Yeah.
word out there and kind of shine a light on things that maybe people don't think about every single day. And Luke, maybe tell us where people can find you, where people can find White Castle, to be able to get a hold of you.
Well, you can find us at whitecastleroofing.com. You can find us, we're actually listed in Loveland under White Castle Roofing. We're based out of Loveland. We have a Grand Junction office. We're looking to open a Lone Tree office here at the end of this year. Um, so we're nationally across the United States. You can go onto our website and you can find any location. Let's just say you're looking at a property in Missouri. Well, we have an office out there that can help you assist with doing inspections and helping you get your roof looked at.
That's awesome. Well, Luke, I appreciate you being on the podcast
Yeah,
today. We will have your information and contact in the show notes. So if you guys haven't liked, subscribed, or commented, please do so. That helps us get the word out there to more people that need the education and the expertise that our guests bring. So, Luke, thanks once again for being with us, and we will see you all next time.
absolutely. Thanks, David.
You're welcome. That's a wrap on this episode of Commercial Real Estate Unfiltered. I hope you found value in today's conversation and feel more confident about navigating the world of commercial real estate. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with somebody who could benefit from these insights. You can connect with me, Caleb David, and the team at David Commercial Real Estate. Just check the show notes for more information. Thanks for listening, and remember, creating space is more than just real estate. It's about building community. See you next time.